Andy Shalal, founder and owner of Busboys and Poets, who, by the way, has a BA in biology, and his early employment was as a medical immunologist at the National Cancer Center at the NIH. He hired me about 6 years ago to organize exhibitions for his then 3 locations that would uplift, expand, and build upon the consciousness of a community. He suggested that I seek images that would inspire and encourage critical thinking and an appreciation of beauty and love. I've just shown you a couple of images from the locations. I'll go back to this one. This is at 450K by Vu and her work on the Black Panther, her mural work, small mural work, and the rise of white nationalism. And then you can see maybe in the back the immigration piece. And then we have Sean Payne from Art in Naples, who did these wonderful test pattern boots, and Rachel Cross, her goddess. And again, images that are diverse, a community, come from the community. And as I said, I began exploring a community of local artists whose quality of work is often at a national level. It was 3 then, and now we have 7 locations, and this most recent one being at the Anacostia. As part of the Busboy tribe, we are encouraged to fly, to expand, to experiment, to create, be kind, learn, serve, and give back. And while working at Busboys and Poets, I also completed an MFA in curatorial practice at Maryland Institute College of Art. Howard University, I had to put this one up because it took me back to the excellence. So in 1950, this is a photograph on the quad where we have some of the best minds, the most important minds in African-American culture at that time. We have the gentleman, the law professor, James Nabritt. Dr. Charles Drew is next to him. Sterling Brown, the poet. E. Franklin Frazier. I think most of you all may know Charles Drew. That's why I kind of went past him, because we know about his medical prowess. And then, as I say, Sterling Brown is in the middle. E. Franklin Frazier, the sociologist. Next to him is Rayford Logan, the historian. And on the end is Elaine Locke, who was the first Black Rhodes Scholar, who was effective in terms of the Harlem Renaissance. They call him the godfather of the Harlem Renaissance. But all of these were faculty members of Howard University in the 50s. It is also an HBU that graduates one of the largest number of PhDs in the country. And now the Interdisciplinary Research Building. I was approached by Dr. Gary Harris in 2016, who was then the dean of the Howard University Grad School, the vice president for research, and professor of electrical engineering, to organize exhibitions at the IRB. And with my foundation for social change and commitment for social change, curiosity and need for exploration, I began my journey into art and science at the Interdisciplinary Building at Howard University, returning home where I graduated. There is another world within this building, and I call it my real life Wakanda, because of its commitment to social change, advanced technology, and Black excellence. Developed as a center for significant scientific experimentation and research, the Interdisciplinary Research Building has brought together elements of science, technology, and reason that will impact the course of human development over the next 20 years or so. With visionary leadership, the administration reached out to create a partnership incorporating the visual arts, acknowledging its intersections, applications, creativity, intuition, inquiry, experimentation, and uniqueness. Dr. Gary Harris, Dr. Linda Jones, and James Griffin and I began forming concepts and ideas for exhibitions that dance between creativity, intuition, ambiguity, and logic on a minimal budget. The first floor of the interdisciplinary building houses the Cobb collection, which are bones, old bones, that are skeletal remains used for the genetic variation, for studies in genetic variations of peoples of African descent. On the second floor is nanotechnology, where scientists, staff, and students develop technology for numerous applications, which include quantum computing, high-speed communications, and biomedical nano uses. The third floor is primarily dedicated to biotechnology, and the fourth floor is dedicated to drug design using advanced simulation and experimental techniques. Now to the art at the Interdisciplinary Research Building. My intention with the exhibitions was to develop a bridge, and is to develop a bridge, a connection, to create dialogue between art, artists, staff, faculty, students, and community, disrupting polarized views of art, artists, and scientists. It's also important at Howard, and it's also important that people of color see scientists and artists that are connecting, and it is not so difficult, and it's not as so unusual, because there is a connection, and to be open to those connections. Here are a few of the exhibitions and artists that have exhibited at the Interdisciplinary Research Building. We have Loring Cornish from Baltimore. Those of us that know Loring know he is quite a character. And here are his mosaics that went on all 4 floors. Based upon their coloring, they were on the different, they related to things that were going on each floor. As I say, second floor is nanotechnology, third floor is biology, and fourth floor, drug as well as environmental science. The next show, this is a show that I curated while completing my MFA at MICA. I organized the exhibition Surface from Under the Microscope, the Henrietta Lacks Series by Baltimorean artist Jeffrey Kent. The exhibition addressed the context of health disparities and economic exploration in the use of HeLa cells through his colorful abstractions, riffing off the actual images. So you can see his work, and it was organized by Black Artists of DC. And then these are the actual HeLa cells that he used to riff and make his images. My thesis exhibition, Creative Alchemy, the common source of art and science, was also, my interest again was the connection, but I also wanted to pay homage to an individual that I thought was the preeminent example of someone that was an artist, a scientist, a mystic, an educator. So does anybody, well, I have the name up there. Oh. So George Washington Carver came out of Neosho, Missouri. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. George Washington Carver got his undergraduate degree in art in Nebraska, and realizing that he could not, in those days, go teach art, he went and continued and got degrees in agriculture, and eventually went to Tuskegee Institute. But you can see, again, he painted flowers. That was what his subject was, flowers after flowers, and an amazing man. So our first floor, Dr. Anne Bowie created her homage to George Washington Carver. It was called Dr. Carver's Walking Path, and in it she included botanicals, found objects, and artifacts. And the plants were courtesy of the biology department at Howard University. I'll show you a little more of a detail so you see the plants and the totems, just rich, connecting with ancestors and memory and beauty and nature, which he did, and we wanted to express that. Our second floor was Fletcher Mackey, who is a professor at Maryland Institute College of Art, and his piece was called Mimiday, which was a site-specific installation focused on or mimicking physics formulas that he saw on the wall. These physics formulas were about invisible movement, maps of potential outcomes of materials as they are manipulated in physics. The third floor, no, on the second floor still, we had students. I love to work with kids. And so I asked one of the teachers, Felix Chinedu Osuchukwu, who was at Meridian Public Charter School. I gave him a list of words that were scientific, and I said, don't tell the kids what these words mean, and ask them to create what you think ask them just to create images. So, and after they create images, then you tell them what the words mean. So his students created all these beautiful, colorful drawings of things that related to science. And Howard loved them so much, they're still up. They have not wanted me to take them down. On the third floor, the biology, where they do the tests on Ebola and sickle cell and come up with serums and things of that nature, transformational kinds of medicine. Renee Stout and her three-dimensional images formed a conversation about personal transformation on the third floor. In addition to those real-life experiments and experimentations, her three-dimensional work suggested that one could step into her soul catcher and regenerator, or the radio, lay your hand on the radio and be transformed. E.J. Montgomery's prints were also about language. That is what we have tried to do at the Interdisciplinary Building, a language. Let's come up with a language together, with art and science. How do we talk about each other's work? And so this was a step or an example of language, developing language, and also in terms of biology and the study of humankind, the importance of creating language, because that was what these images I thought looked like the development of language. The fourth floor, the environmental science and the drug testing area, this was the crux of the exhibition, really. This was a young lady, Angelina Samadri, out of Seattle, Washington, who had created her work as an artist and a scientist. It is her workstation, so you see that she works a lot with nature, and the question was who sits there, an artist or a scientist? And she is an artist, and there were a number of images, things that she had left on the table that you could see that related to her images in and work in nature. There we go. And this was Rosalind Cambridge, did work on Earth's reactions. Our current exhibition, I was approached by James Griffin, who suggested that we do the science as art, and these are images, scientific images that are on view now. This is a microscopic image of Staphylococcus aureus. The second image there are diamonds. These are actual diamonds that are grown in the lab and are used as coatings, thermal conductors, electrical insulators, semiconductors, and quantum materials. The next, this is a while it looks like grass, it's actually a nanowire. And the next one is this is Ebola virus in the human epithelial cells. So just to kind of share with you what we've done at Howard in terms of art and science and creating and social commitment and exploration. We're continuing. We have a number of shows, looking forward to a number of shows. My hope and intention is to do a show on Afrofuturism. The young man was talking about a Latino future. Yes, we should talk about that together. Latino and Afrofuturistic future, but we've seen Wakanda. So this is information to be able to reach myself or James Griffin, who is the person that I've been working with very closely in doing these works.
Wow.